Hey y'all, it's Clever Girl.
This is Class C. And welcome to another episode of Clever Class Podcast. And on today's topic, we decided we're going to talk about an icon, right?
Yes, a seductive icon. And let me tell you, this is a special superpower.
Yeah.
Because this type of power, not everyone can have. And we're talking about Marilyn Monroe, the bombshell. Mm-hmm. She is called bombshell for a reason.
Yeah,
I feel like she wasn't only hot, she was seductive. And that is the actual concept we're going to talk about today. Because that is really weird, right? Mm-hmm. What the hell is seduction? How do you do that? And from what I was learning about that is that it's like a type of like psychological movement or like eye gaze, a specific touch, the way that you behave pretty much, like with your body language.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's like a two-part topic on that because you got first the side of the women who can have that kind of power. And that power is power. It's not something many can do. And it's somewhat of a talent.
I'm not talking about good looks here because you could be really pretty.
Yeah.
But you don't have that seduction.
We're not talking about you being able to dance on a pole or be able to shake your booty.
No.
We're talking about just you on your natural features of your structure of your face, I'm guessing, and how you express yourself.
It's an energy.
And how you know.
It's energy.
Yeah, the way you walk, the way you present yourself, the way you kind of carry yourself.
Exactly. What you exude, like you could exude confidence. Like someone very beautiful can be very beautiful, but if they don't have confidence, they will never be like their full potential. Right? That's kind of how I see it. And vice versa. Someone really like not considered attractive or beautiful by like, our standards. Mm-hmm. They may not be all that, but they could be very seductive or very confident, and that makes them attractive. And that's what it is. Attraction. Mm-hmm. That's the ability to make somebody else be attracted to you.
Yeah.
But by doing things intentionally.
And it's not just like physically wearing a certain thing. It's like how you talk to someone. It's
subtle.
Yeah, it's like how you engage with someone. It's how you kind of flirt yourself with someone. It's all that stuff that kind of gives you that vibe of seduction or that vibe of, hey, you know what? This girl is obviously, into me.
Exactly. When I think of seduction, I think like Marilyn Monroe, Megan Fox, who's that chick from Euphoria? Alexa Demie. I think that's how you pronounce it, Alexa Demie. Like it's spelled Demie, so Demi.
You're talking about Maddie, right?
Yeah, Maddie Perez from Euphoria.
From Euphoria, that one woman. Yeah, she's a woman. By the way, plot twist, guys. If you guys don't already know, that girl who is in Euphoria, she actually is older than she appears. She's supposed to be a high schooler in that episode, but instead she's actually, 30?
She's our age.
Yeah.
And when I say ours, I mean yours.
Yeah. Yeah,
she's the, 33, 34?
Yeah.
Because you're going to be 34 this year.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so she's like early 30s.
So you got to give her some mad credit.
She was playing as a 17, 18-year-old.
And nobody knew that.
That is crazy to me. Mm-hmm. So that's like genetics of like the gods. The chosen one.
Yeah, exactly. Which is which is why we were talking about Marilyn Monroe in this sense, is because like the power she had back in the day. Not too long ago we watched the Netflix. Obviously it was a little over dramatic sized interpretation of her life.
Yes.
But it also kind of gave you a gist of what she went through. And she seemed like a very alone woman, even though she had
very broken.
Yeah, even though she had like thousands of fans who loved her and adored her. There were obviously people out there who are also hating on her. And there were also men who wanted to force their way on her, and like those type of things were devastating back in the day. And I think I also wanted to bring into a topic of today was if Marilyn Monroe was alive today and she had the actual help. Could she get it? Would she get it? And I would think she could, because like, if you think about it now, we're a little more open to mental illness, to health issues, you know? And she was going through a lot, I'm sure, like,
and more of a feminist movement
and
nowadays.
no more of this perfectionist crap. Like, you don't have to be super hourglass bottle shaped body or anything. You can be whatever you want to be. You can have flaws, and you are embraced and accepted and loved by that.
She's actually an icon, well known for that, because this was a time, mind you, when people were obsessed with skinny. You know, you'd see skinny models, skinny women, like on the media, in photographs, in cinema. We're talking about like the icon, like we'll just say, what's her name? Audrey Hepburn.
Audrey Hepburn.
Yeah, like for example, she's petite. She's very small.
Elizabeth Taylor.
Very skinny. Small, curvy, but skinny.
Gone with the Wind. Who is that?
I forgot her name.
But you know Scarlett O'Hara.
The actress that plays that.
The character's
skinny.
name, yeah.
They're just known for being skinny. Marilyn, however, was on the heavier side. And when I say heavy, I just mean like more than those usual girls, because she was not at all fat.
Yeah, we're not talking Lizzo status.
She was just voluptuous.
Yeah.
You know, the right curves around the right areas.
Yeah.
So around that time, she was considered heavyset, kind of like same as Anna Nicole Smith. And she was just, you know, curvy, but she set a standard, a new one in, I would say, cinematic history, or maybe just worldwide.
Yeah. Because
this was new. And people were like starting to see, you know, women can come in all shapes and sizes. But she was primarily very famous because of her seduction. And I feel like that's what we're going to talk about, because honestly, that is a superpower in my view.
Yeah.
Not everyone has that power.
Yeah, I mean, and we're not talking about seduction where like you know, she goes to dinner and then she sees a guy and then she's like, "Hey, you, come here. Let's do it." You know, not something like that. We're talking like more of a dance.
Yeah, this is not like I'm gonna show my titties and ass and like, you know, you're gonna be seduced type of thing.
Yeah.
No, she could wear like a turtleneck sweater and still carry that with her.
Yeah, she's not gonna need a lollipop or some kind of you know, ice cream or something to prove her point to a guy. All she has to do is be who she is. And seductive being is that, you know, she knew how to carry herself in a way where she wasn't wearing over-the-top provocative things. If I'm being honest, like, she wore regular classy outfits. And because of that, she still got a lot of attention, even with that. So she didn't need to wear something provocative to prove that she was worth a damn. She had seduction in her own kind of way by just being herself and being like, look, this is how I'm going to wear myself. This is how I'm going to be. I'm going to present myself. And people could take me as they want to take me. And a lot of people embraced that about her. People loved that about her. That's what people...
Her vulnerability with men.
Yeah, that she was willing to, like, wear her heart on her sleeve, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's just like, that made the men back in the day go crazy.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, she's showing her vulnerable side, and she's saying, like, you know, pretty much, you could take advantage of me if you wanted to.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing that's what vulnerability is, you know. That's pretty much what she portrayed amongst men. And she was very famous for that. But primarily, what I'm talking about is the gaze that she held with men. It's really interesting. There's like a triangle technique they call, that's what it's called in psychology, where you look at one eye, then the other, then you look down at their mouth, and that's supposed to be some kind of gaze. But it's crazy because people do that on purpose to try to, you know, seduce somebody. This woman did it naturally.
Yeah.
Like, they recorded a piece of like a film that she did, and she just naturally did that. It's incredible. Like I'm saying, she did that naturally. That doesn't naturally just happen. This has to be like something you do with intention.
Yeah.
She would look at the left eye, then look at the right eye, then look at his mouth and look away. And that is like the ultimate seductive like look you can give to a man. And it's just iconic. I think I love her. She's amazing, like one of a kind, you know.
Yeah.
And from what I hear, she was a real sweetheart.
I mean, she did it all. This woman was a dancer, a singer, and an actress. If you guys recall, she was doing, you know, like kind of musicals in her movies. And on top of that, I mean, she really kind of switched it up as a character. She wasn't just one character who played the floozy, damsel in distress type of girl. She played a lot of different layers of characters during her time in this world.
Yeah.
And because of that, a lot of people idolized her. And I approve, you know, I was not obviously in the Marilyn Monroe bandwagon because I was a guy and I knew nothing about her. It's not exactly like there was a lot of girls that were like, hey, you know, you should. I mean, but I have always saw, like, from every aspect of every girl, have a Marilyn Monroe poster or some kind of tattoo or something.
Yeah, she's an icon.
Yeah, that was there. And at first, I didn't know anything about it. I just thought, oh, you guys are just admiring the beauty of this woman. That's it, because she's just really attractive. That's all it is. And it's true, she's attractive. There's no doubt about Marilyn Monroe's beauty. It was very unique. But at the same time, that wasn't all it was. I mean, yes, beauty will get you to the door, but is it gonna get you inside to stay?
Exactly.
No, it's just gonna get you to the door. That's it. But with Marilyn Monroe, it got her into the door. It made you want to have kids and marry the damn woman, for crying out loud. She was that.
And she got married like multiple times because of that.
Yeah, and her story is wild. Like her first husband with the whole, you know, being aggressive baseball player and all that stuff. Like this type of stuff that she went through, and the fact that she tried to keep a brave face and a strong face on the whole time. In a very sexist, misogynistic world is inspiring to me. You know?
I honestly feel like men were the downfall of Marilyn Monroe.
Oh, no, it definitely were.
Like the guys that she knew.
Yeah, they definitely were.
Specifically, you know, the Kennedys.
Oh, yeah, no. Once you get into the... Yeah, look, there's no denying that men ran... I don't even know if we can even say that they did run. I mean, it was current times, and we're still talking about how guys are still running some things here. Women are doing their part, but guys are still trying to keep the power of, you know, controlling things. But back in the day, men ran everything. Back in the day, a CEO could own a radio network. It can own a movie studio. It can own like a club. It can own anything. It can own a coffee shop. And if the man had the authority, he would do whatever he wants. And sometimes those guys were pigs. You know? I knew a guy that I worked with who told me one time, he was working as the boss, like the head honcho, a theater. And, you know, he tells me, like, you know, because this is the thing about being a guy is like guys don't mind talking to other guys free willingly about things, because apparently it's okay to them, because hey, this happens all the time. I'll talk to other guys about this and other guys talk about this, so we're kind of cool. Like, I guess it's the universal language for guys to be able to talk to other guys without it being an issue. So this guy tells me out of nowhere, like, yeah, you know, I used to be a manager, and I got to pick who would work somewhere, and I was like, okay, that's cool. But he would tell me, like, I'd pick the pretty ones. And I was like, oh. Like, you know, both? No, I picked pretty girls. I was like, oh. Okay. So, clearly the guy, and I was like, so you just picked them because they were pretty? He was like, yeah. But never, like, he's like, I got to pick them. Like, you know, I'm the manager. So, in his mind, in his head, he was like, yo, I have the authority. And if I got the authority, I'm going to want to, you know, decide what I'm gonna want to look at all day.
That's so crazy.
And that's creepy, because this guy is a little older, and obviously the girls he were picking at the time were probably younger. So like having to be that adult man who's like, I could pick these young girls, even if they're in their 20s and stuff like that, to work at my job, that's crazy. Mm-hmm. You know, that's not how you hire people.
No, I thought people just looked at resumes, but apparently not.
No, apparently not. They got to see you in person and be like, we got to meet. You know, I want to make sure you're a great asset.
You're qualified.
You know, yeah, you got some great qualities on you. I mean, in your resume.
Oh, that's so pervy.
I know, it's pretty gross. That's why, but that's how it is. It was back in the day when Marilyn was existing,
And this we're talking about right now, right? Like that happened.
Yeah, that wasn't that long ago. You see, that even in the 90s, it was bad too. Like, there was a guy, a freaking head of the seat of Fox, who was apparently getting you guys heard about this? This guy apparently gets all these women to do things to him.
Yeah, that was
in order to get a job.
Yeah, didn't they make a movie out of that?
Yeah, they made a whole movie, and he recorded it to blackmail them. It's a whole crazy thing about this guy, Roger. I think his name was Roger Lee or Roger. I can't remember anything. But
and then he abused his power.
Yeah, and then Harvey Weinstein, the same thing.
Gross.
Like, to think that these guys lived there, and then to realize there was a guy named Jeffrey Epstein in this world. Like, there's just it's trippy to think.
So you I can't imagine, like, how many disgusting men were around the time that Marilyn was alive.
Yep.
Like, what she probably had to do to get recognized, too.
Yeah.
That sucks.
And you can't blame, and some women, I don't know, back in the day, there was way more of this over-the-top culture of, like, judging women for doing certain things. Oh yeah, like
I can't imagine. Like more one of her iconic dresses only exposes her back. It's not even like she's not even showing cleavage. Nothing. It's just her back.
Yeah,
but the bare back.
Yeah,
that's like what they would consider like super skanky back in the day. At least that's what they would say.
Yeah, no, and and that's the thing. Like,
that's not even anything
to
bad.
think that was like the proper sense or women back in the day were like, oh, that's not proper, or oh, you can't have a baby out of wedlock, or you can't be in love without it being a man, or all those other crazy back in the day things that were like, we're gonna be extreme, and you have to have a baby without an abortion and all this stuff. You were like, there was all of this.
You mean we're back to that?
Yeah, now we're back to that. We're getting back to
which is so stupid.
Was it called Roe versus Wade or something like that?
Yeah, they went back on that. Now they outlawed abortion in God knows how many states, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's crazy. No, but here's the thing. It's just obviously all this BS political tactics.
Oh yeah.
It's like now how people are using 90s stuff and bringing it now and acting like it's something fresh when really they're trying to act like 90s were that long ago when it really wasn't that long ago. And now they're using like stuff from the 90s into the current 2000s. And what I mean by they're using current stuff from the 90s, it's like if you used to wear a pink cap, they're wearing it now. If you used to have certain shoes from back in the day, they're wearing it now. If you had certain shows that used to exist back in the day, they're rebooting them now. So like everything, they're trying to, it's that same concept when it comes to what I was talking about. So by what I mean by political tactic is that they're using recyclable bullcrap, meaning that they're just using bills that we had already made or amendments, ripping them apart, having us fight over it. They're going to reinstate it, act like they're the heroes because they got it reinstated, and do this freaking cycle all over again. Yeah. Because they have nothing else to present us anymore. Because now we're already at the point where we're like, okay, healthcare isn't being taken care of. We're not being taken care of with wages, universal-wise healthcare. We don't have any college tuition for free. None of this crap.
A third world country with cell phones.
Yeah.
That's how people refer to us.
Yeah, we're definitely...
Sadly.
We're all broke. But somehow they're keeping us from staying broke. So we're afloat. It's like... They're trying to keep us...
We have money to fund wars, but we can't have money to fund what? Universal health care?
Yeah, no, it's apparently impossible. They've been asking for billions of dollars. There's no way we can stop homelessness, but we can continue to fight good wars. Why not? Because wars have been our whole bread and butter. Oh, right, because who benefits off of wars, right? Who?
Yeah, right?
We benefit, right? The people, the ones who work every day, who have to earn an honest living. No, of course not.
I'm looking at you, Starbucks.
We're talking about militarized people. We're talking about weapons. We're talking about people in the gun industry. We're talking about lobbyists. We're talking about presidents and congressmen and whoever else can get their hands dirty to get money. That's all this is when it comes to passing ridiculous war tactical bills. They're acting like we're really in this situation when there's no such
away
thing.
Women's rights, which is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
But going back to the original subject, if Marilyn Monroe were born like around this era, I feel like it would be so much different, a little bit different than how it used to be back then.
Oh yeah, I think she wouldn't be slut shamed most of the time.
No, she would be celebrated.
Yeah, she would. They would think of it as a norm compared to now. Like nowadays, like how back in the day it used to be all about being proper and the guy has to marry me before I put out. Nowadays it's like, nah, I'm not gonna go through all that. If I want to hook up with a guy, I'll hook up with a guy and not make a big deal out of it.
Exactly, because now we have birth control.
And it's perfectly, and I know a lot of people are gonna find this crazy and outrageous, but it's perfectly normal. Because guess what? Guys been doing it for a long time. And if you haven't seen it in the family tree, how messed up it is, you're tripping. How guys are treated differently than girls when it comes to like, oh, guys, go have fun, go crazy. Yeah, no, don't worry. Get your, soak your wild oats or whatever they call it. And for women, it's, if you even think.
I think it's so your wild oats.
If you even think about getting with a man, you are a whore.
Oh, that's the crazy part. That's how I was raised.
That's how every woman is raised sometimes,
yeah.
You know?
Like, the thought of women having any sort of, like, sexual urges was considered taboo.
Yeah.
When I mean, this is, like, I was, a teenager in the early 2000s?
Yeah.
So, like, we're talking about early 2000s, which is not that long ago if you think about it.
Yeah, a lot of people feel like, well, that's so long ago.
This is like 15 years ago. That's not that long ago. That's like 5 years times 3. And that's how I like to think of like the years going by. But technically early 2000s, I mean, like, come on. As a millennial, like, I experienced so much misogyny. Yeah. And that's including like my own parents.
Yeah.
And it's incredible how far we've come, but at the same time, we still have a lot of room for improvement. Because it's really tough, you know, my generation, like, when I was a teenager, we didn't have what they now call high-waisted pants. That, to me, is kind of like a revolutionary thing. Only because as a teen, I noticed that my body was different as a girl. I didn't have the body, like, Paris Hilton was the icon.
Was the girl at the time before Kim Kardashian showed up.
So her body was considered the ideal body back in the day when I was growing up. So I didn't have her body, and it made me feel bad about myself because I thought, okay, like, this is what I guess people call sexy or attractive. Mm-hmm. And she's super skinny. Like, she had absolutely zero meat on her. Like, she was so thin.
Yeah.
Nicole Richie, the same thing. I mean, didn't she have some kind of, like, eating disorder
I think she was bulimic, maybe.
Yeah, and a lot of us grew up thinking that it wasn't normal to feel, like, to have curves. Because it's considered fat. Like, we come from that ignorance.
Yeah, it only wasn't until, like, the early, I want to say the 2010s.
Yeah, that
we started seeing a few things change and somewhat progress as time went on. Yeah.
And I've got to say, I hate to say it, but this is pretty much Jennifer Lopez and Kim Kardashian that changed the game.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. J-Lo is a piece of okay, so
I hate her, and I hate
she's a terrible
Kim
woman.
Kardashian too.
Don't let those women fool you. They are terrible people.
But this is the good that came out of them.
Yeah, but because of their existence,
yeah,
and being part of the culture, the pop culture at least, they did bring a lot of other women out there who were actually real.
Exactly, because back in the day, growing up in the 90s, I remember that if you had a butt, that was considered a bad thing.
Oh, yeah.
Like, back in the day, we had, like, those long, skinny butts. The 90s butts.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what everybody thought was hot. And now, because I have a butt, I'm like, oh, good. So I was never fat. I just had curves. And there's so much that's changed the past 15 years. So, yeah, you could expect Marilyn Monroe to have changed, like, so many things nowadays.
Yeah, she would have been. Yeah, honestly,
going through different things.
She would have to have been around this time era, because this is around the time era where now you could go on social media and there's like thousands of people or millions of people who would be like, we love you, you're beautiful on the inside and outside. Don't let anyone tell you differently. There's like now more encouragement. There's more connection.
More body positivity.
Even though there are going to be some negative feedback, I bet you it's less of a damaging feedback than it was back in the day. Back in the day, she had to deal with men and women on that side,
on both ends,
with no encouragement.
Yeah, and now you see more of like female empowerment. Yeah, and it's more of like consensual within the entertainment industry.
And she could have gone to therapy too.
Therapy is
go
like
online
a thing now.
Yeah.
She had to deal with it like raw. You know, like
by herself.
Drugs,
smile
by
on,
herself.
Power all through it. You know.
Yeah, and I've heard that she had a lot of mental health issues.
Yeah.
And it's really sad what happened to her. She died really, really young.
Yeah.
But I feel like nowadays she would have, she would have probably made it to like 80.
Oh yeah, for
she
sure.
She was born around this time.
Yeah, no, and there would have been a lot of, again, there's just a lot of good things now that for her to have to deal with back in the day is, that's why the whole futuristic idea of her being in existence in this time, it would have been more beneficial to her in the real sense. Actually, it would have been more beneficial to anybody, Tupac, anybody. Like anybody who was living at that time, going through crazy stuff. I feel like now they would have gotten the actual help they needed. Like, a lot of people who really needed the help could actually have gotten the help they needed.
Yeah, and I'm very grateful for this whole body positivity movement as well, because it helped me heal some parts of myself that were like kind of like messed up from the whole, I have to be like this particular way of whatever body thing they had going on back in the day. Mm-hmm. And I feel like the high-waisted pants have a symbolism. I feel like nowadays the girls that are growing up, they have that. And they can refer to that because they're like, this will make me look good. And we've seen girls who've like worn the same pants, but it's a different style of pants. So if it was like low hip, low waist, it would look horrible on somebody with a pear-shaped body, right? Where they have curves.
Yeah.
But if they wore the high-waisted jeans, they'd look incredible.
Yeah.
And that is what I'm talking about, because that's the type of body positivity we have now. Yeah. And now also female empowerment, which means they can now, you can have sex and not be judged for it.
Yeah.
People still will judge, but now it's considered the norm.
Yeah,
like you said.
Oh yeah, we got a long way to go. Clearly, there's now all these butt lifts and plastic surgeries that are just getting more amplified as years go by. But at the same time, look, I'm not gonna say that surgery isn't essentially important to a lot of people or people don't need it. There are people with serious issues, like they were born with certain things missing or something like that. They probably need it. Or maybe there's just somebody who feels a little more confident with a pair of boobs. Whatever the case may be, they shouldn't be too ashamed by it. And I think because not everybody can be like Marilyn Monroe. Not everybody can get the natural body and all that stuff. And that's the point. Like, we have to embrace every single body that exists. Nowadays, I see it in Target, I see it in places, it actually is being more embraced. I see women in the bra or underwear posters of like these older women wearing it, or like women with like different colored skins, like one, there's like a whole variety of different women now on the posters that aren't just these really skinny girls.
Yeah, I'm so glad that women are just being represented like realistically nowadays.
Yeah.
That is kind of like revolutionary within itself. It's very important to have somebody represent different angles and different sizes of people, Yeah. That's really good.
Well said. Well said. I think we'll leave it on that note. Again, Marilyn Monroe was an icon.
A legend.
She was an amazing person, even as an inside inner beauty and out. And everybody misses her. Like I'm pretty sure everybody misses her every single day, and everybody will always remember her for her incredible gifts that she brought to the world. All right, catch you guys later. Peace.